The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Friday, September 5th, reveal that Lily Winters will want Cain Ashby's confession, while Victor Newman has a vengeful Newman meeting. First, Victor will get ready for the escalating Newman-Abbott feud. Since Victor is still holding a grudge against Jack Abbott, he's determined to make his rival pay dearly with a major attack on Jabot. Of course, Victor will know that Jack's going to retaliate, so he'll have to be prepared for that too. We'll see Victor make some strategy updates and fill the Newmans in on what he expects of them moving forward. Nick Newman and Adam Newman will be the main Newmans involved here, though it's possible Victoria Newman could have her own role to play eventually. Victor will still be counting on using Cain's AI software and forcing him into a partnership, but will Cain really cave in? Regardless, Cain's focus will be on Lily in Friday's Y&R episode. Lily will push Cain to make a confession, so she may sense that Victor's trying to pressure her ex and want to know more. Lily might even get news on Cain's meeting with Michael Baldwin and seek answers about that too. If Lily realizes Cain needs a fixer, she may be like Michael and wonder what exactly Cain needs to fix. Whatever the case, Lily apparently won't buy that Cain's done with all the corporate drama. Cain claims he wants to concentrate on repairing the damage with his kids, but Lily will have a hunch he's still got big plans and even bigger fires to put out. As for Phyllis Summers, overconfidence will be a problem in Friday's Y&R episode. Phyllis's arrogance could be her own downfall, so she may run her mouth and put her spot on Cain's team in jeopardy. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Billy Abbott's rushed marriage proposal could be next. Will Billy try to pressure Sally into another big step following her decision to move in with him? In Y&R's September 3rd episode, Sally was a bit reluctant to take this move-in leap with Billy. It took some convincing on Billy's part, since Sally's been a heartbreak victim in the past and doesn't want to get hurt again. It's clear that Sally's been careful about getting too invested when this could all end in disaster. However, Billy apparently thinks they're destiny, so he's been predicting a long-lasting future together. This could be a real turning point in their relationship as far as Billy's concerned, but will it end up being a positive one or a negative one? Billy is an impulsive guy who tends to make bold moves, so he may not be satisfied with just cohabitating. Since Billy mentioned this being a turning point, he could decide it feels right and that he's ready to lock in that future he was talking about. Billy might rush a marriage proposal next and put pressure on Sally to accept. This could turn into another situation where Sally is hesitant, but Billy might say all the right things as he tries to convince her this is the right call. Billy may deliver a grand gesture and plenty of promises about how he won't let Sally down. Unfortunately, disappointment is practically Billy's middle name. You can bet that Billy will indeed disappoint Sally sooner or later, so his long-term romantic plans could come crashing down. Billy seems awfully certain that Sally's the woman for him, so it may not be long until he buys an engagement ring and takes a page out of Kyle Abbott's rushed proposal playbook. Even if Billy can get Sally to accept and put a ring on her finger, that doesn't mean he's really marriage material. Any engagement news that might be looming may not lead to wedding bells if everything blows up in the end. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that there could be an LA murder cover-up, so will Holden Novak and Audra Charles' real secret be revealed? It's clear that something shady went down during Audra and Holden's time together in Los Angeles. Clare Newman suspects it was illegal and is hoping to use whatever damaging intel Holden can offer against Audra. But the problem is that info could put him in a tight spot too. Holden was clearly just as deep in whatever happened as Audra was, since he's been dropping hints about past mistakes. Of course, Y&R fans know the version of the story that Audra gave Nate Hastings. Audra spilled that Holden rescued her from some sleazy music executives. But what exactly did that rescue entail? It's possible that Holden went as far as killing someone who tried to force himself on Audra. Although Holden may have been protecting Audra from a terrible situation, he might have resorted to more drastic measures than necessary to get rid of the threat. If Holden and Audra covered up a fatal outcome, the past could come back to haunt them. Clare's digging could open up a can of worms that creates just as much trouble for Holden as Audra in the end. Y&R viewers will recall some of the comments Audra made about Holden living on the edge and scaring her when they were romantically involved. There's obviously another side of Holden that fans aren't privy to just yet. What did Holden do to scare Audra, and did Holden lose it over Audra nearly getting violated and freak her out by killing one or more of those execs? Audra and Holden might have covered up a murder together, depending on how all that went down. It'll be interesting to see what kind of secrets come to the surface, now that Clare's determined to get updates on the LA truth. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Clare could find out some shocking news involving both Holden and Audra, so stay tuned to see what she does next. It turns out that Victor isn't the only Newman who's having doubts about Kyle on The Young and the Restless. Despite making a heartfelt proposal of marriage to Clare, Kyle was shot down by Victor's granddaughter. But is Clare the only one who should be grappling with mistrust? Soap Central thinks Kyle is the one who needs to rethink things. Sure, Kyle's parents, Jack and Diane, cautioned their son that Clare might take Kyle's proposal as a consolation prize over his not being truthful about what he needed to do with Audra in France. Clare reacted not in the way Kyle wanted after he popped the question. She needs time to deal with the fact that he wasn't honest with her. Let's look at the whole picture though, shall we? Clare's upset that Kyle wasn't honest with her about kissing Audra, or at least the amount of time he took to come clean about the smooch. Kyle's explained many times that he didn't want to unload specifics on Clare because she'd just lost her father, Cole. He didn't want to burden her with the news that her grandfather was trying to disrupt her life even further. Sounds plausible to us. And if anyone should be apprehensive, shouldn't Kyle be a bit concerned about Clare? When she came to Genoa City under pretenses, she ingratiated herself into the lives of the Newmans so she could help her Aunt Jordan exact revenge against the family she felt wronged her late sister, Eve Howard. Nikki was kidnapped and hooked up against her will to an IV with vodka in it. As Nikki's an alcoholic, that was especially cruel, and Clare had no problem going along with her aunt's wicked ways. Clare may not have sliced Nick's chest with a blade, but she helped set that trap that made Nick vulnerable to Jordan's attack. The Newmans realized that Clare was duped by Aunt Jordan, and once Clare learned the truth about her evil aunt, she embraced the Newmans, and in turn, they embraced her. Nikki recently gave Clare a promotion, and she's been welcomed into the fold. Victor especially has a fondness for Clare, as they grew up in similar situations. Victor at the orphanage, and Clare, away from her parents, Victoria and Cole. Clare might do well to remember that Kyle put his money where his mouth was when it came to their relationship. He agreed to fork over $5 million if he ever hurt Clare. Kyle has put up with Victor's open hostility towards him. He refused to take Victor's verbal bait on many occasions because of Clare. Kyle was strong enough to stand up to Victor, which eventually helped win him over. Yet, Clare made a beeline over to Crimson Lights after refusing Kyle's ring, and she made a date with Holden to go out drinking. If Kyle had asked another woman out for a drink, Clare might have felt deeply betrayed. Kyle has been earnest and has bent over backwards to prove his love to Clare many times, on The Young and the Restless. If she can't see that, perhaps he's the one who needs to take a step back and rethink things. We totally get that Clare has some form of post-traumatic stress, and it's not that she doesn't have a point. Kyle was doing the right thing by proposing for arguably the wrong reason. Perhaps Clare should go into therapy with Sharon or someone else so that she can come to grips with how Jordan's influence over her needs to be exercised. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Friday, September 5th, 2025, have Victor preparing the Newmans for war, Phyllis overplaying her hand, and Lily urging Cain to come clean. Victor and his family may have been vulnerable to Cain when they were on his turf in France. They had no cell phone service or way to get off his estate. Now, however, they're back in Genoa City and have full access to their resources. It's a new ballgame. On Friday's show, watch for Victor to prepare his family for war. Cain may have billions, Amanda Geeing, and Phyllis at his disposal, but that may be no match for the combined forces of the Newman clan. Victor showed Cain a letter that indicates he got his money by ill-gotten means. Maybe Victor will bring his loved ones in on this fact so that they're armed with all the information they need to bring Cain down as a family united. Phyllis has been bluffing a bit lately. She steadfastly maintained to Jack and Diane that Cain's plan was proceeding as scheduled. But is she going to get ahead of herself? On Friday's show, watch for Phyllis to overplay her hand. This move could be costly. She lost her job at Abbott Communications and is now having to watch Sally Spectra take charge. Cain has made efforts to contain Phyllis, but Phyllis is not someone who likes being told what to do. What she may learn the hard way is that Cain's the man in charge. If she's not careful, Phyllis could end up losing her gig with Cain. On Friday's show, watch for Lily to urge Cain to come clean. He's gone back and forth between focusing on his family and taking control of all the companies in Genoa City. Cain has teased Amanda by saying that he is fine with lulling everyone into thinking he's going to behave one way, and then he'll reveal his true plan. But will Cain still go ahead and take over Newman, Jabot, and Chancellor Industries? Billy has his eye on the latter business, so Cain will be in for a fight if he pursues that particular company. If Lily can convince Cain to be honest, then the business wars in Genoa City may subside. It's always fun when we get to see our favorite soap stars step into a new role, and fans of the young and the restless Christian Jules LeBlanc are going to get their chance to see him in a whole different light. The CBS vet will be taking the stage in Edward Albee's The Zoo story. LeBlanc and his fellow castmate Matt de Rogatis recently sat down with Pix11 anchors and talked to the news outlet about the production, which runs through Saturday, September 6th, at the Jersey Shore Arts Center at 66 South Main Street in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. When asked why LeBlanc took on the new project, the guys joked about how de Rogatis made him do it. Then they got into a little bit about the storyline surrounding the Zoo story. Without giving too much away, considering there's a secret ending, de Rogatis has explained that it's about two guys sitting on a park bench on New York's Central Park. With one guy from one class and the other from another, there's themes of isolation, and it starts off as a friendly conversation, and then it gets totally out of control. During that 1 hour, the audience can expect a roller coaster ride. It becomes so much more intense, LeBlanc added. Then talked about how he posted a funny video on his official Instagram sitting on a park bench while asking what could happen. The cast only consists of the two guys, with LeBlanc playing a meek and mild publishing exec named Peter and de Rogatis as a boarding house resident named Jerry, young and restless. Claire seemed destined to land her prince in Kyle Abbott, but this isn't a fairy tale, it's a soap. And the man who has actually been there for her time and again is not the man who just proposed. Will the newest Newman have a change of heart? Haley Aaron, who plays Claire, provided some insight on the developing relationship between Clare and Holden in a recent chat with Soap Opera Digest, pointing out that, as we mentioned, it's Novak who stepped up when Kyle wasn't around. She mused. So that's kind of bonded them. As many young and restless fans have noticed, Claire has a different, more relaxed vibe around Holden than she does around Kyle. There's no pressure. He's just a guy. An accidental friend with no preconceived notions about who she is or needs to be. As Aaron noted of her alter ego, she's kind of been a little bit, maybe more herself around him. That ease appears to be coming through in the on-screen chemistry she shares with co-star Nathan Owens, and young and restless fans are taking notice. As Claire heads off to get drunk with Holden, setting the scene for soapy scandal, many fans are hoping they'll actually hook up. In fact, they're so enamored with the potential pairing that they've even begun picking out an official smush name, which may or may not be Holden. Aaron's also psyched about the blossoming bond between the two and shared, "I'm really excited to see how it develops." Do you think Holden is better for Claire than Kyle? Vote! Clare and Audra's feud hit its boiling point on The Young and the Restless, leaving Genoa City reeling as trust, revenge, and survival collided. In the September 4th episode of The Young and the Restless, Claire finally snapped during her explosive confrontation with Audra. What began as sharp words in public escalated into a chilling warning, leaving Holden stunned and Audra shaken. Claire's outburst didn't just expose her fragile trust issues, it raised alarming questions about just how far she might go to protect her relationship with Kyle. At Society, Clare and Holden tried to brush off Audra's taunts, but Audra pressed hard, mocking Clare's loyalty to Kyle and dredging up her past. When Audra lunged across the table, Holden restrained her, but Clare didn't back down. Instead, she leaned in and admitted Audra was right about her being dangerous, a chilling moment that flipped the power dynamic. Clare's parting words made it clear that the next time Audra pushed her, she might not walk away. The fight rattled Clare because it struck directly at her deepest insecurities. Audra reminded Clare that she comes from a history of lies and manipulation, a past Clare desperately wants to leave behind. Opening up to Holden afterward, Clare admitted she hated being reminded of who she used to be and confessed that Audra's attacks triggered her fear of repeating those same mistakes. That vulnerability underscored just how high the stakes have become for her future with Kyle, as teased in the YNR weekly spoilers for September Worst 5. Clare's thinly veiled threat wasn't just about standing up to Audra, it suggested she may be willing to take darker steps if pushed further. Her suspicions about Audra and Holden's past dealings only add fuel to the fire. While Holden tried to downplay the situation, Clare made it clear she wants leverage and isn't afraid to seek it. This showdown leaves Genoa City with a dangerous new question. Is Clare on the verge of becoming as ruthless as the very people she despises? Could she cause Audra to leave Genoa City? The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Cain Ashby might be lying. What a surprise, we know. If you recall, he swore that he feared for his life over in Nice, France. Now that he's back in GC, we've heard nothing about this outrageous claim. A man, Chance Chancellor, died because of Cain's fear. Why is no one calling him out on this? Chance was specifically called over to Nice because Cain thought he was going to be murdered. Instead, 3 people died, none of them Cain. Chance died, as did Cain's crazy butler and Damien Cain. 2 men were murdered, and a third took his own life. Something is very wrong with this scenario, and yet the citizens have gone on with their lives as if nothing happened. Funerals were held off camera, but there's no way Jill Abbott wouldn't have Cain's head for Chance's murder. At the same time, a 4th victim perished in GC, Cole Howard. On a side note, some fans are worried that the show is purging cast members for big-name additions such as Tamara Braun, Roger Howarth, and Billy Flynn. But that's another story. What fans should be worried about in the present day are glaring inconsistencies with current characters. Is Cain's life in danger now, and was it in Nice? It matters because the rest of Cain's story is a laugh riot. Something has to make sense with this plot, or fans will really revolt. For example, Cain lives on the train tracks, literally in his own caboose. It's supposed to be a status symbol, and yet all it conjures up symbolically is hobos and canned beans. Second, Cain has a master plan to take over the city, and beyond that, who knows what. He's relying on Phyllis Summers to do that, a woman who admittedly has unresolved PTSD and is desperate to get a job, any job. Third, the show has thrown out AI as their weapon of choice, although neither Cain nor Phyllis has any idea what it is. Correction, Phyllis spent a few hours boning up and is now an expert. All she needs is a mustache to twirl. Is Cain's life in danger, or was he pulling a fast one? What are your thoughts on this storyline? Are you enjoying the helter-skelter storytelling, or do you think that Billy Flynn's talent and the fans' time is being wasted? Be sure to catch up on everything happening with the Young and the Restless right now. Come back here often for the hottest YNR updates, news, and spoilers. Get comfortable and gain access to the best soap intel on the web. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of September 8th suggest some twists. Nick Newman seemingly is stringing Sharon Newman along. Plus, Audra Charles and Claire Grace Newman's feud gets kicked up a few more notches. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Kyle Abbott, who is on a new mission. After Claire's rejected marriage proposal, Kyle's new plan will be to push Audra out of town. While Claire is going after the brunette too, she also said those things while drunk. Once she sobered up, Claire was rather horrified at herself. So, she might find Kyle intentionally pushing Audra out of Genoa City a bit too extreme for her tastes. Who knows? There could come a point where Claire starts to actually feel bad for Audra. While we are talking about extremes, Phyllis Summers's plan backfires somehow. The redhead will try to convince Cain Ashby that she can fix it. However, she could just make more of a mess and a fool out of herself once again. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for the week of September 8th, reveal that Cain will have some complications of his own. Cain will be cornered by Victor Newman's blackmail to use AI to target Jabot. While Cain might be considering it, he also doesn't want to ruin things even further with Lily Winters and his kids. Fans might also see Victor and Jack Abbott face off. The two men will debate about family issues and slam each other. Meanwhile, Nikki Newman could have her own situations as the feud between the Newman and Abbott families gets worse. As for Tessa Porter, she will continue getting closer to Daniel Romalotti Jr. Even though Mariah Copeland made the choice not to tell Tessa what was really going on, she might be hurt to see Tessa moving on already. There is also Nick, who seems to just be stringing Sharon along after that fateful kiss in Nice. So, what does it mean for their future? Why won't Nick just make a decision and tell Sharon? Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of September 8th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next. The Young and the Restless star Haley. Erin is excited to see where Clare's journey will take her, now that Holden is in her orbit. Holden and Clare are joining forces. The Young and the Restless star Haley. Erin couldn't be any more excited to see more of their dynamic play out. She believes that Holden could bring out a new side of Clare that viewers haven't seen yet. Ever since she set foot in Genoa City, Clare experienced her first love with Kyle. She's made some new friends, as well as enemies. One of those friends is Holden, who will defend her against Audra. Will Clare actually cheat on Kyle with Holden? Will the two eventually end up together? In an interview with Soap Opera Digest, Erin teased what fans could expect next with this duo. Obviously, she'll be confused by her feelings for two men in her life. This friendship with Holden is something completely different, and I think it's really confusing for Clare because she trusts him for some reason off the bat, because he was really supportive to her when Kyle wasn't there, and she was really lonely and going through something really tough, Erin explained. The two will be bonded by their hatred of Audra, but Clare quickly realizes that Holden isn't what he seems. He has a questionable past with her archenemy. But Clare is very headstrong in her ability to read people, and she feels incredibly justified in her friendship with him, Erin noted. Later in the interview, Erin teased Clare's growth, which will be evidenced on the soap. She's at a crossroads in her relationship with Kyle, especially since Audra tried to break them up. And now she's trusting Holden more than Kyle. I have enjoyed their scenes together from the very beginning when we were getting the Vespers at the GCAC, Erin said. He would be asking her questions, and she'd be kind of like snippy with him almost. Then she added, and then you introduce this other character, and you get to see this kind of more biting side of her. When Clare was treated for being brainwashed by Aunt Jordan, she bought into the toxic positivity. Now, she's becoming more like her real self as she gains her self-confidence. So I think she's kind of been a little bit, maybe more herself around him. It's interesting. I'm really excited to see how it develops, Erin teased. In the September 4th episode of The Young and the Restless, Clare investigates Audra's past, unaware that Audra is connected to her cousin Noah, who is returning to Genoa City. Complications arise as Noah grapples with his history with both Audra and Tessa, who is now having marital issues, potentially reigniting old flames. Clare pumped Holden for details about Audra's past on the September 4th episode of The Young and the Restless, but does she know she has a potential other source? Audra first arrived in Genoa City as the ex of Clare's cousin, Noah. And isn't it an amazing coincidence that Y&R just announced the return of Noah, this time played by Lucas Adams? But Audra isn't Noah's only past fling in Genoa City. Both could stir up quite a bit of trouble for him. Back in England, Noah and Audra were involved in the art scene. He dumped her. She was pregnant. She miscarried. Sharon wanted to make sure that Noah had processed his feelings about it because, obviously, those were the most important. Once Noah had processed his feelings and, like Grandpa Victor, decided he had done nothing wrong and Audra was to blame for everything, He moved on to a relationship with Jack's granddaughter, Allie. The two moved to Europe together. Now Noah is coming back, seemingly alone. Will he blame Audra for that too? Or will he assume she desperately wants him back? After all, he's a Newman. Who wouldn't? But Noah has another ex in town, Tessa. The last time Noah saw her, Tessa was telling him how happy she was with Mariah. Well, guess what? Tessa and Mariah are definitely not happy anymore. Sure, it looks like she's going to give up on her wife and pursue a new relationship. Daniel is the logical candidate. But Tessa and Noah have a long list of unresolved issues that Tessa might want to resolve with her wife's brother. How soapy! The Young and the Restless, spoilers and updates for the next 3 weeks, September 1st, 19th, reveal romance, drama, and heartbreak in Genoa City. Passionate plots, vengeful machinations, and devastating breakups are ahead. The week from September 1 to 5th is set to be a devastating time for Kyle Abbott, as Clare Newman refuses to marry him and live a fairy tale life. It seems Clare will unleash her fury on Kyle for throwing an engagement ring at her, expecting it to mend their issues. Later, Holden Novak will comfort Clare and initiate a partnership with her, one that aims to take revenge on Audra Charles. When Clare encounters Audra later on, Y&R spoilers indicate that there will be a significant amount of rising tension. Clare will struggle to keep her cool, leading her to confront Audra, who may retaliate with her own outburst. Naturally, Audra will face her own romantic dilemmas since Nate Hastings is unlikely to take her back. Even after Audra opens up and attempts to clarify her decisions, Nate remains steadfast against the idea of reuniting. Meanwhile, Kyle might need to grasp the importance of patience. If he pushes Clare too hard too soon, it will only lead to more drama, prompting Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott to caution him. In another development, Michael Baldwin will ponder a new opportunity, possibly one that involves working for an adversary of Victor Newman. Could Jack be the one interested in bringing Michael onto his team at Jeboat? Victor is set to meet Cain Ashby for further negotiations before he issues new directives to the Newmans. Yet, amidst his busy schedule, Victor will carve out some time for romance. Typically, it's Victor who sweeps Nikki Newman off her feet with his extravagant gestures. But this time, she'll turn the tables and surprise him. In the meantime, Lily Winters will exploit her position as Cain's vulnerability. We'll witness Lily playing with Cain's feelings and pursuing the truth, believing he's still causing chaos. During the week of September 8 to 12, Audra will confront any adversaries that emerge. No matter what Clare, Holden, and even Kyle may attempt to challenge her, Audra could demonstrate that she is a formidable presence. However, there remains the possibility of drama unfolding. Audra's position at Abbott Communications might be at risk if Jack and Kyle exert pressure on Billy Abbott to countermand Sally Spectra's decision. In any case, Sally is organizing a significant launch party, so we'll find out if that actually occurs on screen and if it leads to any surprises. Nate and Victoria Newman are set to deepen their bond following his breakup with Audra, potentially leading them to couple status sooner than expected. They have known each other for years, and Nate has always proven a strong shoulder for Victoria, and he used to be the family's physician as well. In a different development, Victor might receive news about the escalating issues between Kyle and Clare. Eventually, Victor could conclude that it's time for Kyle to cough up the $5 million and exit Genoa City if he believes Clare's heart has been broken. Of course, Victor himself was paying Audra to break them up because of his years-long Abbott hate, even though he fired her since that plot started. The week of September 15th and 19 is set to unleash some escalating chaos between Abbott and Newman, particularly if that contract actually comes into play. This could lead Jack to feel even more determined to retaliate against Victor and make him pay. Cain will face numerous challenges in the upcoming episodes, yet he will cling to the hope that Lily might consider giving him another chance. Is it possible that Lily will slightly open the door and agree to have dinner with Cain? A thaw might be on the horizon for Cain and Lily, but their journey won't be without its bumps. With Daniel Romalotti Jr. and Tessa Porter, their emotions might escalate into a romantic encounter, perhaps even leading to a kiss. Sharon Newman may start to worry about Mariah Copeland potentially losing Tessa to Daniel if she doesn't take action soon. Sadly, Mariah isn't prepared to mend her marriage and family while she's still grappling with distressing thoughts about the stranger. Mariah will continue to struggle with what she remembers about smothering the older man under the influence of alcohol. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that the upcoming 3 weeks will bring some alarming developments and concerning news in Genoa City, so keep watching.